Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that often mistakes silence for weakness, there exists a powerful truth. Some women are silent not because they lack words, but because they are spiritually shielded. They move with grace, observe without speaking, and radiate strength that doesn't need validation. These silent women are not alone. They are guarded by a force far greater than any darkness they encounter. When a woman walks silently through storms and still stands strong, it's a clear sign that she is divinely protected from the evil that seeks to break her. Let's uncover 5 powerful signs that show a silent woman is being protected by God from harmful people. Number 1, her peace intimidates the wicked. Some people speak loudly to be heard, but a silent woman doesn't need noise to make her presence felt. Her very peace is her power. When she walks into a room, there is no drama, no need for grand gestures, just a calm energy that speaks louder than words. That peace is not ordinary, it's spiritual. It's the kind of peace that comes from someone who knows who she is, who she belongs to, and who fights for her. And this peace, this calm and steady presence, has a strange effect on those who carry bad intentions. It intimidates them. Deeply, evil people thrive on reaction. They feed on chaos, on arguments, on emotional outbursts. They try to provoke, to push buttons, to stir emotions just to gain control. But a silent woman, one who walks with divine protection, doesn't give them what they want. She doesn't react, she doesn't scream, she doesn't even defend herself. Instead, she looks on, quietly, without fear, and that stillness, that restraint, confuses and scares the wicked, because nothing threatens evil more than someone who cannot be controlled. When a woman carries peace, she becomes unpredictable. You can't manipulate someone who refuses to be drawn into conflict. You can't trap someone who won't play your game. The silent woman's strength lies in her ability to remain composed while everything around her tries to unravel her. And the wicked, they can sense that. They see that she's not moved by intimidation or gossip, not shaken by betrayal or pressure. They try to shake her foundation, but her peace keeps her grounded. That's what makes them uncomfortable. What many don't realize is that peace doesn't come easy. This woman has likely walked through storms. She's been betrayed, disappointed, abandoned, and yet she chose not to let bitterness live in her. Instead of turning cold or angry, she turned inward. She learned the power of quiet reflection. She began to trust God to handle what she couldn't. She let go of the need to explain herself. She stopped chasing validation. And in doing so, she found a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. A peace that was born in fire but forged by faith. This kind of peace makes the wicked nervous because they can't access it. They try to imitate it with fake calmness or controlled silence, but their spirit is unsettled. When they meet someone truly at peace, it reminds them of everything they are not. It shines a light on their inner chaos. They may smile, but inside they are disturbed by her serenity. They don't understand how someone can be so composed, so content, without needing attention or approval. That mystery becomes a mirror, and not everyone can face their own reflection. The silent woman doesn't argue because she knows that time reveals all things. She doesn't fight petty battles because her focus is higher. She knows who protects her. Her peace comes from faith, not fear. While evil plots and plans, she prays and listens. While others gossip, she grows. While people throw stones, she builds with them. That kind of energy can't be faked, and it can't be broken by ordinary means. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's not that the silent woman doesn't feel pain, she does. She just doesn't let pain decide her response. She knows that sometimes the best reaction is no reaction. And that silence, paired with peace, is often louder than words. Evil people don't know how to deal with that. They want a scene. They want to pull her into the mud. But she stays on higher ground not because she's better, but because she's protected. She knows there's a divine reason she's being kept out of certain conversations, certain relationships, certain conflicts. Her peace is her proof, and that peace is powerful. It clears rooms, ends arguments, silences enemies. It speaks volumes in moments of tension. It changes the atmosphere. Some people can scream and no one hears them, But a silent woman with true peace can walk by, and the whole room turns. People sense something different. It's not pride, not coldness. It's clarity. It's the quiet power of someone who knows who she is and who walks with something greater than herself. That's why her peace intimidates the wicked. Because it can't be shaken, it can't be corrupted, and it can't be stolen. It's not something the world gave her, so the world can't take it away. Her peace is divine. It's spiritual armor. It's how she fights battles without raising her voice. It's how she wins wars without lifting a finger. It's how she rises while others fall into traps. Her silence doesn't mean she's weak, it means she's wise. And wisdom, backed by faith, terrifies those who live by manipulation and control. So when you see a silent woman sitting calmly in the middle of chaos, understand this. She's not ignoring the fire. She's above it. She's not unaware of the attacks, she's protected from them. And her peace. That's the sign. That's the shield. That's the quiet storm that warns evil to stay away. Because nothing scares darkness more than a woman who can walk through it and still shine. Number 2, she disappears when evil approaches. There is something almost supernatural about how a silent woman seems to vanish just before something or someone harmful enters her life. She doesn't make a dramatic exit. She doesn't always explain. She just quietly pulls back, fades away, and removes herself from situations that later prove to be toxic. Some may see it as luck, others may call it intuition. But what's really at work is divine protection. She disappears when evil approaches, not because she's afraid, but because she's being guided by something higher, a force that sees what she cannot. This disappearance is not weakness, it's wisdom wrapped in silence. It's a quiet surrender to a higher plan. When everyone else is trying to push through the noise, the pressure, and the deceit, she steps back. It's as if something within her says, "This is not your fight. Leave." And she listens. That voice isn't born from fear, it's the whisper of divine guidance. It's the instinct that only grows stronger in those who have learned to trust without needing to understand. Many times, people don't even notice when she goes. She doesn't storm out or make accusations. She simply becomes less accessible, less involved, quieter than usual, but the timing is always perfect. After her absence, truth starts to surface. People get exposed. Motives get revealed. Situations fall apart. And suddenly, it becomes clear. She was meant to leave before the damage hit. That's not coincidence. That's God moving her out of harm's way before she even knew it existed. You see, she may not always know the full picture. She may not be told the full story, but God knows the hearts of every person she encounters. He sees the deception, the manipulation, the envy, and the danger long before it reaches her. So while she may feel confused about why she suddenly feels disconnected from certain people or situations, it's not rejection, it's redirection. She's not being pushed out, she's being lifted up. Sometimes, the people she walks away from will be offended. They'll say she's changed, that she's distant or cold. But the truth is, her spirit has sensed something her mind hasn't yet fully processed. And that's the power of divine intuition. A spiritually protected woman doesn't need evidence to know when something is off. She just knows. She feels it in her body, in her energy, in her peace being disturbed. So she leaves quietly, carefully, obediently. What's even more powerful is how consistently this happens. Again and again, just before major betrayal, heartbreak, or disaster, she's gone. Not because she planned it, but because her steps are ordered. Evil can't cling to someone who doesn't stay where darkness is. She's moved like a chess piece by hands she can't see. It's not about being clever or cunning, it's about being covered. Even in her relationships, this pattern follows her. She may deeply care for someone, invest time and love, only to feel an unexplainable pull away. It hurts, it confuses her, but later the truth unfolds. The betrayal, the manipulation, the lies, everything comes to light. And suddenly she realizes that what felt like loss was actually rescue. What felt like distance was actually deliverance. This protection extends beyond people. It happens in jobs, business deals, friendships, environments. Just when things start to look shiny on the surface, she's removed before the mask falls. The offer falls through. The meeting gets canceled. The move doesn't happen. At first, she may feel disappointment. She may wonder what went wrong. But time always reveals the hidden harm she was being shielded from. People around her might not understand it. They may question her decisions or accuse her of being too quiet, too distant, too cautious. But they don't realize that her silence is her listening. She's not ignoring the world. She's tuned in to a higher frequency. While others chase opportunities, she follows peace. While others force their way into doors, she waits for the ones that open on their own. This kind of discernment is a gift, but it comes with discipline. A silent woman who is protected by God has usually learned hard lessons. She's trusted the wrong people before. She's stayed too long before. She's ignored warning signs before. And the pain of those lessons taught her to listen, to withdraw, to obey even when it doesn't make sense. So now, when she feels that shift in her spirit, she leaves. No questions, no drama, just departure. And what follows her disappearance is often divine proof. Things fall apart without her. Hidden intentions are revealed. People who smiled in her face show their true colors, and while the chaos unfolds, she's at peace, far away from the blast zone, safe, unbothered, protected. She doesn't run, she doesn't hide. She simply follows the path laid out for her, one that is designed to keep her away from harm, even when she doesn't fully understand the danger at the time. And that's why she always ends up ahead, even when it looks like she's retreating. Because every time evil gets close, she's already gone. Her disappearance is not weakness, it's divine strategy. It's the quiet evidence that she is watched over, guided, and deeply covered. When evil approaches, it may look for her, but it won't find her. Because she's been moved, protected, not by chance, but by grace. Number 3, truth reveals itself without her speaking. There's something undeniably powerful about a woman who chooses silence over retaliation. She sees, she feels, she understands, but she doesn't always speak. And still, somehow, the truth finds its way to the surface. She doesn't chase justice, doesn't argue her side, doesn't try to prove anything. Instead, she remains still, and in that stillness, truth begins to rise. Not because she forces it, but because she trusts that what's hidden in the dark will always come to light. She doesn't waste energy trying to expose people. She knows that those who plot behind closed doors eventually reveal themselves through their actions. She doesn't need to say a word because life has a way of uncovering deception. The ones who lied on her, who twisted her words, who tried to damage her name, they always end up being seen for who they really are. That's the power of divine protection. That's what happens when a woman walks in silence, but with truth on her side. While others run around trying to control narratives, she rests. While people gossip, she grows. While others throw accusations, she listens. And then, in time, one by one, the lies crumble. The same mouths that spread rumors begin to contradict themselves. The same people who laughed behind her back find themselves exposed by their own patterns. She didn't have to fight them. She just had to keep her peace. There is a quiet strength in her that the world underestimates. They think silence is surrender. They think her refusal to clap back means she's weak. But what they don't realize is that her silence is her surrender. Not to people, but to God. She lets the higher power handle what her hands cannot. And when truth starts revealing itself, when the fake smiles fall, and when secrets are spilled without her lifting a finger, that's when people finally understand the force behind her stillness. Time always proves her right. And even when she feels like no one sees what she's going through, even when she's hurt by betrayal or confusion, she doesn't let bitterness take root. She knows that the truth doesn't need a defense when it's aligned with purpose. She stays true to her values. She doesn't engage in petty games. She doesn't match disrespect. She rises above, and her elevation exposes everything beneath her. There is a spiritual covering over her life, a protection that goes beyond the physical. That's why things unfold the way they do. She doesn't need to beg for clarity. It comes. She doesn't need to chase apologies. They arrive when the truth becomes too loud to ignore. Even the people who doubted her, who believed the lies, start to come back around. They start to see the difference between noise and character, and her character always speaks loudest. Sometimes the journey is lonely. It hurts to know the truth and still keep quiet. It's painful to be misunderstood, to be targeted by people who manipulate behind the scenes, but she endures, not because she lacks the words to fight back, but because she chooses not to fight battles that aren't hers. She knows some fights are spiritual, some wounds are deeper than they seem, so she lets God handle the hidden, and when He does, it's always undeniable. The masks fall, the whispers get exposed. The people who try to bury her end up burying themselves under the weight of their lies. And she remains untouched, unbothered, elevated. That's what divine protection looks like. That's what happens when you walk in truth, even when you're walking alone. Her silence makes room for revelation. Because when you're not speaking, you're listening. And when you're listening, you're learning. She picks up on energy that words can't hide. She sees the patterns others ignore. And because she doesn't speak on everything, she watches everything. She observes, she discerns, and when the right time comes, the truth reveals itself so clearly, no one can deny it. People often return to her after the damage is done, not because she begged them to, but because time exposed everything. And in that moment, they realize the one they misunderstood, the one they accused, the one they pushed away, was the one who was walking in truth all along. But by then, she's already moved forward. She doesn't hold grudges, but she doesn't go back either. Her silence has already spoken. There's power in knowing you don't have to prove yourself. Power in being so rooted in truth that lies fall apart on their own. Power in standing still and letting the storm pass around you, knowing that what remains will be real. That's who she is. A woman whose silence is her testimony and whose peace is her protection. She lets life do the revealing because truth, real truth, never needs to shout. It just needs time, and time she has. Number 4, evil can't stay around her for long. There's something sacred about a woman who walks in silence, peace, and strength. She doesn't seek the spotlight. She doesn't demand attention, but her presence is undeniable. She carries a calmness that reaches deeper than words, a quiet confidence that doesn't need validation, and perhaps most powerful of all, evil can't stay around her for long. It may try to come close. It may pretend to be a friend. It may wear a disguise for a while, but sooner or later, it's exposed and removed. Not because she fights it directly, but because her very spirit rejects it. Her energy doesn't allow it to linger. Her peace is too heavy, her presence too pure, for darkness to be comfortable near her. Evil thrives in confusion, in drama, in chaos, and in loud, empty noise. But a silent woman protected by God doesn't create any of that. She's still. She listens more than she speaks. She watches instead of reacting. And that stillness acts like a mirror, reflecting back the true nature of those who come near her. If their heart isn't clean, they begin to feel uneasy. They may not know why, but something inside them feels disturbed. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual energy doing its job. It starts small. People with wrong intentions may feel drawn to her at first. Evil often tries to attach itself to the light because it wants to control or dim it. But once it gets close, it realizes it doesn't belong. Her calmness makes them uncomfortable. Her ability to forgive, to show grace without being a doormat, it unsettles them. Her refusal to engage in gossip, her boundaries, her quiet dignity, it all creates a spiritual barrier that evil can't break through. She may not even realize what's happening at first. She might wonder why people pull away, why certain relationships fall apart, why someone who seemed so connected suddenly turns distant or even hostile. But in time she learns those people weren't pushed out by her, they were exposed by her. Her spirit acted as a filter. God didn't allow evil to remain hidden in her presence. That's the cost of walking in alignment with light. Everything in darkness gets uncomfortable. This woman's life may not be loud, but it is powerful. She's not easily fooled, not because she's suspicious, but because she's spiritually aware. Her intuition is sharp. She feels things in the room others miss. She senses the shift in energy when someone's smile doesn't match their spirit. And while she may not call it out or confront it, she makes mental notes. She starts pulling back. She doesn't need to make a scene. She just creates space, and that space is often enough to drive evil away. Over time, she learns that she doesn't lose people. God removes them, not as punishment, but as protection. People may lie about her, try to sabotage her, or misunderstand her silence as weakness. But evil can't fake goodness forever. Sooner or later, their mask slips, and when it does, she's already gone, already healed, already moved forward, because she doesn't need to see the downfall. She just needs to stay faithful to her peace. Even in workplaces, social groups, and family circles, the pattern remains. People who carry jealousy, manipulation, or bad intentions find themselves unable to stay connected to her for long. They may try to control or intimidate her, but her calm response frustrates their plan. She doesn't argue, she doesn't react. She simply stays still, and that stillness disrupts their control, because you can't manipulate someone who isn't emotionally accessible to your chaos. This kind of woman becomes a spiritual boundary. Evil feels it but doesn't know what to do with it. It tries to test her but fails. It tries to tempt her but gets no reaction. It tries to plant seeds of fear, but she's too grounded in faith to panic. She may feel the pressure, but she doesn't bend to it. And because she won't play by evil's rules, it gives up. It moves on. It looks for easier targets. And when evil leaves, blessings begin to pour in. The silence that once felt lonely becomes sacred. The distance that once felt like rejection becomes revelation. She starts to understand that losing what doesn't align with her soul is not loss, it's gain. Her life becomes lighter, clearer, freer. And even though the pruning process hurts, the peace that follows is worth every tear. That's the divine design of her life. She doesn't have to expose people. Her spirit does. She doesn't have to force anything to happen. God does the removing, the revealing, the realigning. Her only job is to stay rooted, stay quiet, stay true to who she is. Because when your spirit is clean, evil can't breathe in your atmosphere. When your soul is pure, evil suffocates in your silence. And so, people may come and go. Some may arrive smiling and leave offended. Others may try to stay and feel strangely repelled. But the pattern never changes. Evil cannot stay around her for long. It never lasts. It never wins. Because when a woman is covered, when she is anchored in peace and guided by light, anything not meant for her will be removed without a word. That's not her power alone. That's divine order. Number 5, her life keeps moving forward despite attacks. No matter how many times she's been attacked, betrayed, or underestimated, she keeps moving forward. Her life doesn't stop for pain. It doesn't pause for betrayal. It doesn't break permanently under pressure. She may slow down, she may cry. She may even disappear for a while, but she always returns. Stronger, wiser, and more focused than before. There's something extraordinary about the way her life continues to unfold beautifully, even when it's been targeted by darkness. That kind of resilience doesn't come from the world. It comes from something greater. It comes from being divinely protected, guided, and sustained. People have tried to break her spirit. Some have used lies, manipulation, and deception. Others have attacked her character, mocked her silence, or taken advantage of her kindness. But every time she's been pushed down, she's gotten back up, not with revenge, but with grace. She doesn't waste time trying to prove people wrong. She doesn't chase validation or try to control the narrative. Instead, she focuses on her growth, on her healing, on her peace, and because of that, her life continues to elevate while those who try to harm her remain stuck in their own bitterness. What many don't understand is that every attack against her only strengthens the protection around her. With each betrayal, she learns. With each loss, she evolves. With each disappointment, she gets clearer about who she is and what she deserves. She doesn't allow pain to define her. She uses it to refine her. And that is why her life keeps progressing, because she refuses to let darkness win. She refuses to let bitterness take root. She refuses to let wounds turn into walls. She heals, and then she grows. Her progress is not always loud. She doesn't need to post every success or announce every victory. She moves quietly, steadily. While others are busy talking about her or doubting her, she's working on her purpose. She's building a life rooted in faith, in peace, in truth. And because her foundation is solid, storms may shake her, but they cannot destroy her. Attacks may come, but they cannot stop what's meant for her. In fact, sometimes the very attacks sent to destroy her end up pushing her into greater blessings. Even when life throws her into seasons of isolation, confusion, or hardship, she doesn't collapse. She adapts. She learns how to find light in the dark, how to keep walking when the path isn't clear, how to trust what she cannot see. And that kind of spiritual endurance is what separates her from the rest. That's why doors keep opening for her even when people try to shut them. That's why opportunities find her even when others try to block them. That's why peace surrounds her even in the middle of chaos. Because her source isn't external, her power isn't based on circumstance. It's rooted deep in her soul. She may not always speak about the things she's overcome, but if people only knew, they'd understand why she walks with such quiet strength. They'd understand why she no longer explains herself, why she guards her energy, why she chooses silence over drama. It's not pride, it's not arrogance, it's protection. She's learned that not everyone deserves access to her heart, her story, or her presence. And because she's learned to be selective, her life is lighter. Her path is clearer, her progress is unstoppable. Every time she's tried to be taken down, something greater has lifted her back up. And now, she doesn't panic when trouble comes. She doesn't fear when people turn against her. She doesn't crumble when plans fall through. She's seen too many times how setbacks turn into setups, how heartbreak turns into redirection, how losses become lessons that lead her to something better. So she doesn't dwell in pain, she moves through it. She doesn't deny it, but she never lets it define her. People wonder how she keeps going, how she stays so composed, how her spirit remains soft in a world that has tried to harden her. The answer is simple. She's covered, protected by something no human hand can touch. There is a force over her life that no weapon formed against her can overcome. That's why every plot against her eventually fails. That's why every lie eventually falls apart. That's why every attempt to hold her back ends with her moving forward even faster. Her life is living proof that you don't have to fight every battle to win the war. You don't have to respond to every attack to come out on top. You don't have to match energy. You just need to protect your own. And when you do, the results speak for themselves. She's not loud about her wins, but they're consistent. She's not boastful about her strength, but it's undeniable. She's not free from struggles, but she's free from defeat. Because no matter what comes against her, she rises. No matter who walks away, she rebuilds. No matter how heavy the pain, she transforms it into purpose. Her life keeps moving forward, not by chance, not by luck, but by divine alignment, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop a woman whose strength comes from a higher source. Never underestimate the power of a silent woman. Her silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's trust in a higher power that sees what she cannot. When a woman chooses quiet over chaos, observation over reaction, and peace over revenge, she's not alone. She's divinely protected. She's guarded by grace, and evil has no chance against her. Thank you.